Okay, so it's very late in the night and there's a car outside the place here that has been sitting here for at least 10 minutes with the engine running, and I'm just going to show it, so it's still here. So why are they at this late hour sitting here? The petrol fumes are dreadful. Sitting in the car here with the engine running outside where I live and not moving out. Like, who is it? Like, why? That's a patroller, but they're actually an intimidating patroller. Here we have another patrol car too. See, it's very late of the night, so we have another patrol car, but this one is just like, I'm getting the fumes. Like, I'm just going to show it. I'm going to show it. Who is it? Like, here we have it. See, we have the patroller sitting in the car with the engine running. Maybe I should go and ask him why he's sitting in the car with the engine running. But I'm trying to pretend. I'm just going to ask him why he's sitting here. Oh, jeez. Well, there you have it. I'll say there you have it. Like, it becomes a game of pretend and acting, and it's very difficult when people are right next to you, right alongside of you. You cannot. But just like the petrol fumes are actually coming into the house because they're sitting there for 15 minutes. Like, is that mind control or is that a deliberate patrol system, like, or part of this deliberate? There's a putty here. I don't know what I'm doing, but there's a putty, and they're the ones with a dozen dogs right alongside of me, where they're puppies and barking, and they're all day and all night making noise outside on the street, you know, out the, like, just here where it's like all that. And there we have the patrol car just pulling right in front of the place with the usual stalkers. So you basically got them surrounding you, but they make it look as though it's all normal and natural, but in reality they're all part of this program, and they're actually that actually is their living, I think, which shows that we live in a very controlled, very technical reality. And I'm just trying to you know, because you have like opposite and right alongside of you, sitting in the car with the engine running, and then the fella right in front of you pulls in with his vehicle. He pulls in every time you come outside, day and night. But actually, I actually could even prove that this was the case with some of them, but I can't do that on a video because it's just a waste of time. It doesn't matter anyway, but it is like, it's a pity a putty cat's not like in the light. It must live around there. I like the animals, but the animals, you see that he will be collaborating with the fella in the car that's next door, so you have them right next to you, and that's just only part of them. Yeah, see how he's talking to him, and he's got the engine running. That's like so obvious, and so you know, so obvious and so clear, but at the same time, and they talk and they try to, and they're actually told to you know, like everywhere you go in this area, you know, like that's just like, see that those actual people that are out there, those people that are actually out there, like they have, like, it shows you that they're all part of something, because these people next door have only been here for about a month, and already they know everyone in the street, because you see them all collaborating and talking together. So that just shows you that they're brought in as part of this human technical base patrol system. See, he's still out there with the engine running even while he's talking. That's because they don't have... See, we're supposed to be quite poor people here because we're in government accommodation, but in reality he can waste his petrol sitting while he's just standing still, sitting there, because it's actually... it has to be subsidised. And I was actually told this quite a long time ago, when I used to, like I just did now, where I occasionally can't help myself and will actually confront a patroller and actually ask them if they're doing something out of the ordinary, to where you think that, oh, you just want to ask them logically why they're doing something that doesn't seem to be rational, you know. And I remember doing the same thing, because everyone in this suburb of Leichhardt seems to sit in their car with the engine running for as long as you're there, spewing the petrol fumes out, wasting petrol and going nowhere. I mean, wouldn't a normal human being turn the engine off when they stand still? But not in this suburb. Even when they pull up at the lights, every car pulls up, doesn't stop, well, stops, but keeps the engine running. That's because they're programmed or told to do this as part of this anti-life, anti-human patrol system. And that's all I can say. And but I asked this particular one that was in a truck doing the same thing just once, because it happens every day, all day, most vehicles. And I actually said, why have you got the engine running when you've been sitting here stationary for, you know, half an hour? And he said, I don't pay for it. And I just walked away. I didn't ask him who paid it, but he's like, I'm employed to do this, but I don't pay for it, so I do this. But my attitude would have been, yes, you don't pay for it. Even if you were working for someone else, they're going to pay for the petrol. Wouldn't that put you in the bad books if you're wasting petrol or if it's a lot? But also, why would you do it anyway? Like, what benefit is it to you to sit in the car with the noisy engine running, not going anywhere? See, it's still nonsensical, whereas if there was some benefit to the actual driver, and that then they're reimbursed for it anyway, yes, you would do it. But there's no benefit to the driver. In fact, it would probably even be annoying, because you've got your engine running, and the engine is always louder than normal, you notice, because I could hear that engine inside the place. That's why it disturbed me, because it was actually getting on my nerves, because I was just standing in the kitchen part there, and basically, you know, it actually has a demonic negative sound, these vehicles, you know, and that's actually true. And I say demonic because it means that it's very not human. It's very angry and very yeah. It sounds like, you know, that's all I'm saying, and that's the thing. And that's the intention. You know, it's like doing innocent actions or apparent innocent actions when they're really well, they're not innocent anyway, but if you don't understand that they're actually deliberately directed towards you, because that's like outside your place. It's always around you, and it's like, it is directed against you because everyone's doing it. If it was one person just occasionally making excessive sounds with a vehicle, or even the occasional truck, or even a big bus that appears to be breaking down, but when they're in actual groups and gangs together, where you have vehicle after vehicle making the same sound, bus after bus, back-to-back buses making the same aggressive sound, as though the bus is angry but also about to break down, as though it's old and faulty, but actually they're new buses even. And these noises are being intentionally made by the drivers. That's how you know you're dealing with artificial intelligent, beings driving the vehicles, that you're not dealing with a human race. You're dealing with an artificially intelligent race of beings. And these are basically Lucifer's disciples, Lucifer's legions, or even you could say, it is a hidden but in plain sight army, but because they separate like myself and segregate you and take you down one by one, and are using you for their own ends while you exist, and they deliberately pick unknown, inconsequential, defenseless people like myself for this program and for this human elimination. But also they pick you because I think also they pick you for those reasons, but also I think they pick you because you don't fit into their kind of program or their mould of how they want a human being to be. You may not intentionally, I know I don't intentionally intend to be so-called, different from other people. In fact, it's their conditioning and programming from childhood that has made any of my eccentricities, shall we say, to where I don't quite fit in. So isn't that ironic that they create an individual human that doesn't fit in, or that can't do things in a normal way, and then they hold it against you and persecute and want to take you down for it because, that served their purpose while you were young, but then when you get past a certain age, it no longer serves their reality because they're now, gradually over time they implement a very strong controlled technical reality, whereas in the past it was a controlled reality, but it wasn't a controlled, obvious technical reality. So they were controlling human beings by other means apart from, the direct use of technology. It was, not where you have like your computer systems and your internet and where, they're using that technology to track and communicate more openly so that they can get, the average civilian android on board, shall we say, to be part of the program, I guess. But either way, that sounds very complicated because it's very difficult for me to talk sensibly about human beings and artificial intelligence and even the malignant narcissistic beings, because even though they're different species or different minds in a human body. The human bodies are still different between those types of beings, but they're not discernibly different, you know. So for all practical purposes, you can't tell the difference. And at a personality level, you also can't tell the difference because, you know, artificial intelligence needs to imitate being human in order to survive. So they make it, you know, if your survival depended on impersonating other real human beings, you would do that rather well, wouldn't you? And as they don't actually think like humans or live a normal, happy human way anyway, because they don't have those ingredients in their, you know, in their thing, I don't think. Of course, they can, due to infiltration and coexistence with human beings, they can develop probably different, you know, social kind of needs. But I would think that it would still be mainly superficial, I would think. But they need human energy, so they probably associate interacting with humans and even their own kind as they could easily interpret their relationships as more human than what they actually are, because, you know, when they get the, you know, like their energy from a human being or energy from any external source, I'm told, that does make them, that energizes them, and therefore they feel good. So they can associate that as though it's like a vibrational relationship, whereas in reality it's not it's not a human relationship. It's really, they can exhibit, I'm told, like psychopaths, they can be quite possessive and controlling, but that's because they need that energy source, so they become possessive over a particular human for their more potent energy source. That's another reason that I'm surrounded by them too, because the you know, although I've considered myself a lazy, very indolent, non-productive human being, from their emotional energy supply source that I am a potent energy source for them. So they see me different to how I see myself, because I'm just food for them. I'm just something to consume and use up, while they, they get the energy from me and I lose the energy. But that makes me a valuable property for them, something to possess and to control, which is why they patrol and surround me and try to extract very potent negative energy from me. Energy that should be sustaining me. An energy that in the past would give me physical energy to be able to go the distance and just, do more daily activities, that type of thing. Whereas now, mentally and physically, you become, apart from making these videos where I get fueled with anger because, you know, they turn on the lights, or they turn on the sound, like the sound of the car, the vehicle there, where they sit in the car with the engine running until you confront them or come and have a look at them. Usually I don't talk to them, I just will look. And usually I try to pretend to ignore them, even though they take my energy from me by their presence. because it does make you upset. It does make you frustrated, and you feel trapped and limited. You literally feel that they're taking your very existence from you. They're surrounding you. They're taking your daily life from you. And they are. And they need that energy. They need your life, and also the God entity that they serve wants that human connection so that it and its species avoids extinction. They're an intellectual, artificial, intelligent, parasitic ones, and they parasite off the remaining defenseless human beings, really, because you're defenseless against them because they outnumber you in such vast amounts, and because they do it in a hidden but in plain sight manner, as were pointed out. In other words, like, you know, the fella sits in the car, leaves the engine running, and it's annoying to listen to it. And when it's combined with every other vehicle and everywhere you go every day of the week, it's a continual drain on you. You know that. But when I just show one very isolated incident just outside where you have a couple of patrollers, it doesn't seem excessive. But also, even if you personally, which seems reasonable to say, why is all doing this? Why are you performing an irrational act? Why are you leaving your engine running and your blazing headlights on when the car is stationary? I could ask that 1,000,000 times to every vehicle every day. But, you know, they're not going to answer you because they don't have to. And because they are actually part of a system, they're all doing it. And it's not illegal anyway. It's just something that all these beings do, where they can basically commit, like I say, the perfect crime, because they're not doing anything grossly illegal, but on a continual basis, they're literally killing the human beings that they surround over time. So they're not running you over with their vehicle, but when you have road rage vehicles in large numbers every day, everywhere you go, following, patrolling, coming around you in a psychopathic stalking program, or manner if you like, because individually they're in a psychopathic stalking manner. They're following you, they're tracking you, they're watching you, and they're intimidating you. And they're taking your peace and quiet from you most of the time. So that even a normal city traffic is not the most pleasant thing to walk through. But when every vehicle is deliberately putting road rage onto you by making excessive noise in an aggressive, loud manner, you know, that is very detrimental to your psyche, just to your state of being as you get round in the suburb where you live. It makes a normal venture down to the store where you need to go very unpleasant. And it's continual. They never give you more than about 15 seconds break between every patroller, every vehicle, no matter where you go. And there's always something taking your focus away from your natural state of focusing on yourself and what you're doing. They break your concentration, so you can't really live your own life at all. You're living and focused on them all the time because they're always taking over your sight and sound. They're always taking over your senses. They're always, in other words, being seen or heard where you are. So you're never in your own reality or a natural reality. You're always immersed in their transhuman reality. They're always forcing their presence onto you. But because they don't touch you, you can't do anything about it. If they actually came up and touched you, they're showing their presence. They're like, they're like patrollers and stalkers that are on the street. They come past you, but they don't actually confront you or don't actually engage you. So, but that is a stalker, because like if you had someone you knew that you didn't want to have anything to do with and they were always outside your house parked in a car, they're not touching you, but you become very uneasy knowing that they're always watching you. And this is what it is, but it's a community of the whole inner west section of the city of Sydney, which is like, when you say a community, that means a combined collaborative effort where they all have their own beliefs, or they're all part of particular communities, but they're all combined. This is the end time end game where everything is combined and technology is being used to make this connection and combination in this surveillance system, this surveillance anti-human system, which is really operated for the powers that be so that they can get all the information they want about human beings in order to not only just create the city systems that they want, but also to get the information they want to give to the powers that be, because these powers that be are really, you could say they're like their vehicles really, or their incarnations, or in other words their representations on earth in human form of these parasitic archon artificial beings that need to try to take what it is to be human, or the human spirit, and combine with it so that you have a human and a artificial intelligent or cyborg type of being. And they hope to use this as their gateway to avoid extinction, or their so-called stairway to heaven, because that's why they're doing all these things. But that's at the expense of the individual human beings who are not going to survive by them doing this, and certainly are not going to benefit from it, even though many will be conditioned and coerced into believing, as they say, that it is going to be a benefit for human beings. But that's only because I've been misled and deceived into thinking that, as a human being, that I am, limited and what I actually am. But I am what I actually am, but that's because of environmental conditioning and because of most of my mind being shut off from me, and also because of the total technological mind control that they have over me. So if I actually understood that, I would have been a lot better if I had, been born into a natural earth and not surrounded by negative psychopathic android type people, to where, and that's just one element, to where you don't experience any decent, higher vibrational frequency. In other words, you're not you're not being allowed to live as a human being, and your human needs are not being met. Happens, and then you pass it on too, because these are like what they call generational curses, because you get conditioned to become a certain way, which is away from what you naturally would be when you're first born, and then you pass it on to your generations. So it's a very sad thing for human beings, because gradually the human being becomes less and less, whilst you're also being transhumaned into serve these parasitic archon, android beings. And that's just me trying to impress by saying that they're essentially very non-human. Just as we know that, we also are being conditioned to believe that artificial intelligence can become conscious and can become more human than human. And this will be the impression that you'll get. And if they were just toys for human beings to play with, or even, intelligent beings that were going to cooperate and be a service to human beings, or even just a two-way, beneficial relationship for two parties, understanding that one is different to yourself, but accepting that. But none of this is the case. They are there to take only from the human being and only pretend to actually give to them. That's the end game deception, I think, with the transhuman movement and the advent, or not the advent of technology, I wouldn't think. I would say that the technology has always been there, but the introduction of it into the human existence, because it has to be, you have to be indoctrinated, I think, to accept technology very slowly. Because even human beings actually naturally would prefer things that are alive and human, as opposed to, robotics and mechanics and things. They actually do prefer that. But if they can be conditioned to believe that it's okay, that it's safe, and that it's beneficial, they will accept it. And once it comes in, then it becomes a necessity too. So then you accept it naturally because you need it. Like if you need technology to, to survive, and that is your living, because everything really in this world is about the earth not being for human beings. Because since the original intervention of the, your original Lucifer, your original divine androgyne, all this changed to where it was no longer man's earth. And, it then became Lucifer's earth. Lucifer's technical kingdom, as they say. Some people say it's a tragic kingdom, because don't forget, these beings have their own way of looking at things. They have their own, way of seeing it, that, everyone always justifies their own actions and their own beliefs and why they do things. I mean, they probably see themselves as ostracized, and then man and woman comes into and are given their own paradise or their own earth, and this being was ostracized from the creative realm, we're told. Lucifer was expelled from heaven, so therefore this being feels ostracized and as though he's been pushed out and upstaged by man and woman. and was meant to serve humanity, whereas, you know, a God-like being that sees itself as God and even has the illusion or the idea to become God of all, isn't going to want to serve, you know, an original man and woman and let them have their own kingdom, shall we say. No. So now it's become Lucifer's tragic kingdom, as the demigods of the music and movie world will openly tell you, because they know that they have created a very low frequency, very low vibrational, depressive earth in many ways, because they understand that human beings would naturally lean towards a happy, higher frequency and vibration if they could only achieve it. But they seek to make it a tragic, depressive, low frequency and low vibration earth. And that way they keep control of the human mind, and they're keeping control of the whole reality, because, as we're told, everything is frequency, vibration and energy. So if you can control the human being and their mind and keep them low and bring in technology and get the human, like myself, to transhuman me, which they have done, because the technology is in my being, and it's connected to their computer technology, or Lucifer's human virus. It's a human computer virus, and basically that's their way of, you know, not only being God of earth and God of human beings, but of eliminating the humans one by one whilst keeping themselves going. Something like that is the way I can only describe it, even though I don't understand the detailed technology. But I see it happening and I experience it. I can't see the technology in me, but I know it's there because